you might be wondering a couple things. If you're new here, it's the question of what dork have I been autoplayed into. The rest of you, on the other hand, might be asking where's the Slay Spire 2 review, in which both can pretty much be answered with one sentence. Things happened. Yeah, so it appears that with each passing episode they get far longer and harder to put out in a time span YouTube won't kill my channel over, with this one I'm working on being my longest episode I've ever done, period, sitting at a crispy 41 minutes, not including the animation bits. It's a big one. So, in order to assure you all I haven't abandoned you and to make sure YouTube doesn't take my paycheck out back like Old Yeller right before my water bill encroaches, we're going to be doing what I'm temporarily calling mini reviews between episodes. If you have a better name, I'm all ears, and let this temp name be a sign that I shouldn't be allowed to name your child. There's two distinctions with the series. One, no animations, and two, an intended length around 10 minutes or less, this video being the exception for this intro bit. So with the details necessary listed, let's get moving so I can actually have room to talk about the game. If you like what you see here today, or listen to today, hit the like and sub button or some shit. I don't know, you do you, I'm not your mom. Let's talk about Raccoin. Raccoin is a new coin pusher roguelike game that will give you the immersive experience of the elderly who live in a casino. This game has been on my radar for a fat minute thanks to a certain gambling addict simulator putting a new flavor of autism in my collection. Your objective, much like Balatro, is to get to the target score before you run out of coins. You start the game by selecting a class of sorts, which determines what coins and upgrades you'll see, a chip card which has its own unique modifiers, and a difficulty. After that, you press play and your first round is as simple as your usual coin pusher gameplay. Once you beat that first round, though, you are given your first shop and you can buy many things to itch that gambling addicted brain of yours. From this point forward, your game is about making goofy synergies with the combination of coin and chip effects, using prizes to do one-shot effects to greatly help reach the target. You use your purchase coins to do effects on the machine, with your chips being your passive boost. Every few rounds, you're greeted by bad coins to sabotage your run, and if you clear them all out, you get an upgrade for the run. Beat 15 rounds, win. That pretty much sums it all up. I'm not going to be completely honest. There's no story or plot, just straight to the point. So since we talked about the general concept, let's start talking about the good bits of the game. The game is fairly straightforward, much like a coin pusher is, allowing for the complications to come from the interactions between items, which I would say is overall a good thing. Deck builders, a term I use loosely, pretty much should always strive to make player interaction straightforward in order to give them enough time to breathe and think over their plan. Honestly, minigames should just abide by the phrase keep it simple stupid, with the change I'd make to the phrase being keep it simple cause I'm stupid. Bottom line, good thing. Nice job. I also appreciate the variety of coin effects and passives. I never felt like any coin was just stomping on the toes of another one, and it made every purchase feel like a genuine decision. On top of which, the characters feel pretty distinct and enjoyable in their own right. My personal favorite of the bunch being the biologist, because I can turn the game into the bane of all Nintendo Directs, a farming sim. Also thanks to this character, the game proudly holds the honor of making me unironically say I don't have enough bird shit on my board. You'll understand if and when you play it. The art style of the game is also infectiously adorable. The skins for the different machines, the character art, the visual effects on coins and modifiers. They made Biologist a bunny, which makes me like the character that much more. The game has the style on lock, and I think it helps the game stand out more in the sea of other gambler rogues. Sound design is also pretty satisfying. The sounds coins make when clinking together and cashing in is pure dopamine. The little pop when you shoot out coins, and noises of the combo wheel just spinning. I could listen to all these sounds as a sleep aid, alongside the screams of the damned and GLaDOS telling me how to build my own computer ASMR. I also appreciate that the game takes the time to pace unlocks one bit at a time, as throwing all the game's mechanics into the player's face probably would have scared him off. Trust me, I'd know. I'm an expert in the craft of people repelling. Now, so far, this game sounds pretty good, but don't get too jumpy. We haven't quite talked about the problems yet, and there is quite a few substantial ones. Let's lead with the biggest problem. Build crafting heavily relies on an unlock you don't have at the beginning of the game. As a matter of fact, you won't even have it until you unlock the third character. It feels like the game at the start actively fights the idea of build crafting in a number of ways, primarily how your coins work. Coins aren't permanent. Once you use them, they're on your board until they are scored, and then they permanently vanish. This mechanic by itself doesn't sound too horrible, but a lot of passes rely on you being able to consistently pull out a certain coin or effect, and if that coin is any rarity beyond common, it feels entirely unviable to even use it. That is, until you unlock modifiers by unlocking the Chemist. Modifiers allow you to put a new effect on coins, which is pretty good in its own right, but by far the most important one is the Retain modifier. This modifier on a coin puts it back into your coin slots once scored, not only allowing you to play it again, but taking any boost it got for existing with it for the rest of the run. This mechanic alone allows you to actually run coin-specific chips with some air of consistency, and it's the sole consistent detail of all of my winning runs. Otherwise, I'd struggle to even find any ground because it's hard to build around anything you don't have forever. Potential skill issue, as admittedly I'm still learning, but I'm standing on this for now and somebody in the comments can berate me for it later. I feel like it wouldn't be nearly as bad if there were some passive effects that say when a chip is scored, gain this permanent buff, but I have not seen one. There might be one to unlock, but I'm just telling you right now, I have not seen one, so no. Someone could argue that this is actually an interesting design choice and keeps the game feeling like it's constantly moving, but for me it just comes off as a glaring problem that gets remedied by an item. Also, that item is epic rarity, so it's incredibly hard to stumble into. I personally would like to see it knocked down to uncommon rarity, or at least rare, as it is a pretty important modifier for getting through the game. Alternatively, you could make all coins purchased return to your coin slots when scored, and make retain the modifier that lets scale and coins keep their score value, but I think that might cause some design issues with other bits of the game, so probably just better to keep, the retain modifier more common. On another note, the music is not great in my opinion. It has only one song, and the song just doesn't really know what it's trying to do. The beginning part is good, but then it randomly gets like really upbeat for no reason and then immediately goes back down. I like that bad coins distorted a little bit, but outside of that, I unabashedly turned off music. The game could seriously benefit from having somewhere around like 2 more tracks to cycle through during a run. Maybe even go the extra mile of making the music pick up to the more upbeat style when the combo is high instead of just at a random specific time of the song. Probably hard to do that, but shit, dude. Anything to avoid me feeling like I'm stuck in elevator purgatory. The third issue I ran into was just how this game paces allowing you to win, and that it pretty much forces you to lose until a certain point. I don't know if anyone else had this problem, but it genuinely felt like I started with nothing to win a run at the beginning. And hear me out before you huck your comment brick at me. At the start, you have all basic mechanics to get going. Coins, chips, prizes, wheels, goals. But I played for a bit and found that there wasn't really a lot of point boosting items at the start. Maybe one here and there, but nothing to really seal the deal on the run, which leads to me losing and unlocking the next character where I get another mechanic and new unlocks. Still not enough. Next one, get modifiers. 1-1, but still hard. Then after a few more runs that deserve an Omni-Man level beatdown, I'm suddenly winning consistently. Like, I was about to write in this review that I couldn't figure the game out, then as I was getting footage, suddenly I was seeing items that were just straight up helpful and ones that are just universally good. I had done probably somewhere around 10 to 15 runs at this point, not including the ones I end prematurely, so to only see a win in 10 to 15 of those to suddenly start winning constantly, that's not me learning, that's unlocks. While I totally understand that they didn't want to overwhelm the player with mechanics, this constant lose streak where I felt like I wasn't understanding anything until magically unlocking the win the game items felt pretty fucking bad. Because now I'm enjoying it, and would recommend this game, where initially I was having a hard time getting my opinion beyond a it exists for the first set of failures. And the only reason I toughed through it was because I do this for a job, so I can imagine some people probably refunded after feeling this. It felt like my failure was not my own, and instead the game deciding I'm not allowed to have a pair of knees anymore. I like difficulty, I don't like faux difficulty. If I wanted that, I'd just open 7 Days to Die. Then my last issue. The game's overall speed during the no win allowed portion of the game. It's pretty slow, and I'm not talking about the speed up button not being enough, I'm talking about a run's general pacing. Runs take a pretty decent amount of time to get off the ground, due in part of how builds function in this game, ranging from needing the right chips, the right coin combinations, the retain modifier, which is in a high rarity despite being a paramount thing for a good run, even just how the game scales its score all leads to the game feeling overall slowly paced. Probably not a bad energy for a coin pusher, and it does pick up pace once your run lifts off to, fucking orbit, but let's take that speed and apply it to the 10 to 15 runs of failure I had before I was even allowed to muster up a win condition. This definitely tried my personal patience level. I like to believe I'm a pretty patient dude these days, especially with my post-focus candy acquisition, but good god was it a whole lot of nothing for entire runs. And it would be a lot different if this only happened like sometimes, but you have to go through it to unlock the next character and their mechanics, because every character has a round requirement to be unlocked, and with that character is mechanics you need to win. Needless to say, the very beginning part is probably the most time consuming this game ever gets, but if you can get past it, this game unlocks and becomes far better. With all that said, let's wrap this rapid fire review up. In the new scoring system I'm doing for both overall enjoyability and price to content ratio, overall enjoyability was a 7 out of 10. I started to really enjoy my time once I unlocked all the stuff that allows winning. I could feel the genuine love and effort put in the game, and all the little mechanics that were put into the simple concept of a coin pusher were creative and intuitive. The only thing I'd caution people on is that aforementioned no win allowed segment of the game. If you can stomach the probably few hours of net losses before unlocking the possibility to win, then I'd certainly suggest it. Fortunately for me, my family was bred for gambling problems, so I pushed through just fine. But understandably, this part of the game would be a turnoff for some people. As for the price to content ratio, that's a 9 out of 10. Roguelikes innately have a good ratio just due to the prospect of every run being different when you play it, allowing for you to gain more mileage out of it per dollar. That being said, Raccoin is still packed with a lot of interesting mechanics, items, and features to keep things interesting for a good long time. Plus its base price is like $11, and I'm unlocking stuff 15 hours in, so you're certainly getting a lot of quality content for a small amount. I'll leave a link in the description and leave a comment down below with your suggestions for games or, any advice for this new video structure. Let's hit that crispy 100,000 subs, and until next time, this has been the Bond Dweller, bringing you videos you didn't ask for.